Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today, the man who is thoughts become things, Neo-Positivity. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Our friend Alex Standy. Oh, we got a little extra on screen there. Our friend Alex Standy. Neil and I are playing. We're playing StreamYard games here. Our friend Alex Standy is still recovering from surgery, but she's given us a thumbs up. She'll be back pretty soon. And we wish her, of course, the speediest of recoveries. But Neil, thanks for joining me here on Thursday. And we were just talking. We're 2 days away from your summit, man.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I forgot. Let me throw it on the screen right there. Neo-Positivity starts.
There you go. Oh, all right.
It's this Saturday, January 21st from noon to 4 p.m. Walt's going to be there. We have a great lineup. This was what was on the screen before. James Dentley, let me hide that. Amy Joy, Sandy Scarlatta, Taryn McCarthy, Ken Heineman, Parth, Lonnie, and Walt's going to jump in. And if, you know what, I'd love to get Debbie. Has she been?
I actually reached out to Debbie today. I haven't heard back from her, but I just wanted to see how she's doing because I haven't heard anything. I mean, I know she's still healing from the surgery. But yeah, I'm kind of curious myself. So when I know, I'll let you know.
Hashtag we love Debbie G in the comments. Everybody let us know.
Absolutely. Yes.
And her hubby usually jumps in here, so he can give us an update if he jumps in today.
Yeah, Joe, if you're there, give us an update. Let us know what's going on.
I'd love to have you guys come. My summits, as well as you know, but for those who don't, they are more like a round campfire discussion as opposed to you speak at 2, you speak at 3, you speak at 4. Nah. And the way I like to do it, I've never seen anyone do it like this before. I like to give it 30-minute blocks. So if you come in, let's say at 2 o'clock, let's say Walt came in at 2 o'clock. From 2 o'clock to 2:05, he's going to answer 2 questions. How did you use the law of attraction on a day-to-day basis? And what has it done for him? Mm-hmm. You know, morning affirmations, you know, my life is great, whatever the situation is. For the next 25 minutes, you're going to be taking questions from the audience, from other speakers, from everybody. That way it's fresh. It's live, just like we like to do here on this show. It's live. It's no speeches and all that rehearsed junk. None of that. We want to get the freshness and the best that you got. And on top of that, I've found, you know, from all the conventions and seminars and stuff that I've been to, the person on stage most of the time doesn't answer the questions I want to ask them.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
Yeah, you get all this great information. You got a notebook full of stuff, but there was 3 questions. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been in this seminar for 6, 8 hours, 4 hours, just 3 questions I really wanted to ask and I never got a chance to. And that's the sucky part about it. When I first came to Tampa, I think his name is John Hobbs. He's a guy, he was going to the NFL.
Oh, okay.
Got into a fight, punched the guy falls and like breaks his neck.
Oh man.
So he goes to jail, ruins his career, you know, NFL career. And it was one of those shame situations. Like he was defending himself, but because he was huge, you know, the person fell and I think he hit a curb. So he went to jail. And so anyway, he threw a seminar and in his seminar, he gave a 10-minute speech and answered questions for the rest of the day.
Good for him.
And I was just like, I like that. Like, this is my type of deal. Same reason I switched, like most reason why I switched from being a podcast host to a podcast guest was it was like answer the questions as opposed to, you know. So yeah, I like that. And that's what I do for my summits. I'm going to get you the realest real I can get out of everybody. And
it's important for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is, you know, just like you were saying, we normally don't get the opportunity to ask questions. Very often we're afraid as a result. We're afraid to ask the questions, right?
You know, and then people get that little bit of fear up in here, that little turning of the stomach. I'm amazing on stage. I'm familiar with the stage. I go up there, but when I'm sitting in the crowd and they start passing the mic to answer a question, you know, you get a little nervous. Oh man.
Isn't that something? It's actually harder in the audience than it is on the stage. Figure that one out.
It's crazy. But, yeah, I like the way this is open. Now you just post a question right in the right in the Facebook group. I'll post a link to that in a second.
Beautiful.
And then I'll answer it. I bring it up on the screen. It's going to be on StreamYard, and you could ask a specific guest. You could ask me. You could ask whoever you want. So after that speaker speaks for 5 minutes, it can go right to another guest, you know, and, you know, we circle back, and then I have lightning rounds where I'll just say, hey, Walt, how do you cure cancer? 60 seconds, go. And then you give me your top-notch answer on, you know, what you would do in that situation. And then panel discussions. And I love the panel discussions because, you know, if there's 4 people and I ask one law of attraction question, one person's going to answer and everyone's pretty much going to say what he said, but you know, so my panel was 4 different questions for 4 different people. You know, I'm just going to, so it's just going to be a lot of information being dispersed. Everyone I know that comes leaves with a notepad. This board will be full of great tips and information. And most of all, you're leaving in great spirits. And it's
I love how you got different questions for everybody. I mean, that's really good, because ultimately what you're doing there is saying, okay, I'm not going to give the other 3 opportunity to think about this first. I want them to have the same amount of time that the first person had.
Yeah, keep it there.
Right?
But leaving the summit excited is how people have described it. I leave the summit excited, not because I just threw a fabulous summit, but because I got a whole bunch more stuff that I can try that's going to get me my next toys and experiences.
Yeah.
And that's the key part of it. Leaving, like I leave this show happy. This is my, literally, you said in the opening, our daily dose of happy. Every time I do this show, every time I watch this show, I leave happy. But leaving happy with a bunch of tools for your tool belt that weren't there before, tools that are life-changing, not just like we're car salesmen trying to teach you how to sell a car or fertilize lawns. You know, this is life-changing information, and this is stuff you could pass on to your loved ones. So it's just an all-around greatness. I'm so happy I decided to throw summits.
Me too. And by the way, my friend, you're one of the reasons why this is such a happy show. So you got yourself a little pat on the back for that too.
Me and you, brother, because there would be no LOA today.
This is true.
Thiessen, baby. Without Walt Thiessen, you've been doing this 10 years, right? More than 10 years.
More than 10. Yeah.
Jeez, 5 days a week, y'all. This dedication.
I just think about it, you know, well, I think about it every day because I'm doing the show, but I also think about it every day like, this is really great. I mean, how long have I gotten to do this? How long do I get to do this?
There it is.
This thing, I mean, I know and hope at the same time that listeners are getting as much from it as I do. Because like you said, you get a lot from it yourself, just from hosting it, just from putting it out there. And you do, you get a ton.
I'm going to venture to say that no one's getting it as much as you, because you're doing it every day. Like even me, I don't get to watch all 5 episodes every week. So I'm not taking in as much positivity or information about positivity as you are. So you're like the Webster's Dictionary of Law of Attraction. You should be. You've got thousands of people's take on it and their best tips and secrets. I have a file that I have, what's it called? Let me see. It is called Speakers Top Quotes. And I have bullet points. And you're in there. Every speaker that I've gotten since I've started that file is in there. And their top quotes or mental practices, whether it be neuro-linguistic programming or some form of yoga, it's all in there. And how
long have you been keeping that?
Probably somewhere around when I started your show.
Okay. So a few years.
Yeah. So it's not like, you know, thousands, but.
Yeah, but it adds up. I mean, even after just, I don't know how long it is, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is, during that time, you still, it's amazing how fast they fill up. It's amazing how many episodes you end up doing. It's amazing how many quotes you end up collecting just because 51. You're doing it consistently.
51 people are on the list. Because I got them in bullets, and I just scrolled down on it real quick. 51 people.
That's beautiful.
And it's like, I've interviewed over 1,000.
Yeah.
And I've tried to catalog everything that they have said, but this is better because the books they recommend, their websites or programs, I put all that stuff in there too. So if I'm like, oh man, what was Walt talking about? I'll see, all right, he referenced Debbie's website, which has the real good meditation practice. And so, yeah, I lean on that. I really do lean on that information being that accessible to me.
That's really good. And I have to admit, when you're doing a show 5 days a week like I do, you really kind of run out of time for keeping that kind of record. I mean, for me, the record is what's on the website where I track all the episodes. Yeah. But I don't really have anything kind of like you have like a cross-reference there of here are the people, here are the quotes, here are the books. I don't have anything that detailed. That's really good.
It's never too late to start, baby. I could be your first entry.
I'd probably have to reschedule though, because I mean, if I'm going to do that on top of 5 days a week, it just makes it even more challenging. It's not. I mean, it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's going to be more challenging.
I had to cut out real quick. You see this? Yep. Everybody knows what this is. It's a composition book, right? Yep. However, that pencil ain't real. This is not a composition book. It is a book with an author that he made to look like a composition book.
Okay.
I told you about my friend Eugene. Yeah. He's a hard-nosed sergeant from New York Police Department. Remember. I mean, cigar, like everything, don't mess with this guy. His father wrote a book about the law of attraction. Oh. And I was like dumbfounded when I found this out because he's that drill sergeant type dude. And his father was a sergeant in New York as well. So this is his father's book. It's called Thinking Anew.
Okay.
I highly suggest everyone get this. This is one of the best books I've ever read. And here's the best part about it for those who might be dyslexic like me. It's 34 pages long.
It's real short.
34 pages long. And the rest of the book is empty pages for you to write stuff. And the gist of it, what I've pulled from it is like every day, I'm writing 3 pages worth of affirmations, but I'm adding my own spin on it. It's not affirmations like I love life, I love life. Each line is different. It's a different type of, I trust my ancestors, the universe is guiding me, things like that. Mm-hmm. And when I write it, you know me, I compound exercises. I'll write something and then I'll say it out loud while I'm writing it. And then I'll say it. And then I'll bring in the watcher and say it. And then I'll apply my latest technique, the one after the wall, which was putting myself in my Peter Pan mental version of me and thanking the mental world God for that already happening, even though it hasn't happened yet in this world. And so
that's what sets you apart because you drill it into your nervous system. I mean, you just drill it right in.
I have to. Well, you can either drill soft or drill hard. You know what I mean? But if you're going to build a house, you got to do it. You got to do the work. And I love that. Because if I was to say something like, I love life, and let's say I didn't, which I do, but let's say I didn't, and the ego steps in, no, you don't. Your finances are crap and your relationships are too. You know how the ego works.
Oh, yeah.
For me to put myself in the mental world, my Peter Pan version of me that can fly and I can do anything I want in that world, and look at the mental world watcher, the mental world God, and say, I love my life here. The ego has to sit down and shut up for a second because I do enjoy my life over there. I have unlimited resources, love, happiness.
It's like you're dominating what the ego voice is trying to say. You're shouting it down in a sense.
Yeah, I'm taking all of its fuego, all of its power.
Yeah.
To the point where it doesn't even want to step up and say anything. It has no choice but to let me live in that moment. Yeah, how many Bentleys I've given my dad this month? And not one time and I feel it. I'm so good with my make believe, and I've worked on that a lot in conditioning because I believe as adults, we kind of like not lose it because we're playing make believe all day, every day anyway. We're just playing make believe with the wrong things, the things that we don't want. But I'm so good with that. I can give Walt a Rolls Royce Phantom for his birthday and be happy that I gave it to him, and the ego won't say anything because for me, just now when I said that, I was happy and I was thankful to the mental world God for letting the mental world version of me give the mental world version of Walt a Rolls Royce Phantom for his birthday just because I got it like that and he's cool peoples.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you do the programming the way you do it. You basically get the ego to the point where it says, okay, I quit before it even started.
And since that, I've learned to, or I should say I feel like I look at the ego differently. Before I looked at the ego like, you ever seen people playing double dutch or jump rope where they're waiting outside to jump in?
Right.
They're waiting for you to say the wrong thing. Go ahead and tell me you love life so I can jump in and show you your pay stub. That's how I used to look at the ego. Now I look at the ego like I picture a dude in a flowery shirt on a beach, in a beach chair with a hat on, facing the other way with a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's called on, when I lie to myself or whatever, then he comes over and says, no, you're not. You're not here yet. What would it take to get there? And then he does what he does, which is ugly. But, when I do these exercises, like I just explained, he's sitting in the chair, looking off at the ocean, and he's just like, nah. And he just goes back to doing his thing. Like he might for a second go, nah, I'm not interrupting with this one. He didn't lie. He didn't say anything inaccurate. He did give imaginary Walt an imaginary car, and he did thank the imaginary world God for that. And
because it's imaginary, the fact that makes it imaginary means that he can't dispute it because you can imagine whatever you want.
Yeah, because I'm not lying. It's the truth. And that has, since I started with the law of attraction, has been my main area of focus, was being able to trick the ego into shutting the hell up so I can sit in the headspace long enough to attract and pull that life towards me.
Hey, before we get too far away, the book Thinking Anew, your friend Eugene's father, you didn't tell us what his name is. Who's the author? What's the name of the author so that people can find it if they want it?
Eugene F. Moynihan. I'm going to write it in the comments because this is the first time I said that.
Moynihan, okay.
Moynihan.
Nihan, all right. Moynihan. Yeah. Eugene F. Moynihan. Okay, because that way, if they want to look on Amazon or whatever, they can look for Thinking Anew by Eugene Moynihan.
Yes, Thinking Anew. And the way he describes it, it's just cool because when he, most of what he's saying, I'm like, dude, this is law of attraction stuff. This is the stuff we talk about on the show all the time.
Right.
There's a couple key things that he said that just really lit me up. And I said, okay, he's for real. Most people, you talk to, you're like, okay, yeah, you're good with the law of attraction, da, 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 da. But then you have somebody like Andrew Cap or like me who comes on and you're just like, oh, this guy's really spending his time meditating and coming up with answers. And that's what I got from him. He's on his game. He's on point. And so I find myself doing 3 pages. I don't handwrite anything. I haven't handwritten in years. My hand cramping up and stuff like that. But I'm doing 3 pages a day.
Wow.
Because in the book, he encourages you. He gives you a whole list of suggestions of different things to write. I'll just give you an example.
Okay.
I have the instincts to know what my higher power wants me to do. I'm not alone in this. I am alert to my surroundings. I imagine new and more creative ways to engage the world today. I'm planning with my spouse, parents, and children and loved ones. Like he has all kind of things. I'm capable of solving difficult problems. I'm alert to new opportunities, things like that. So it's not like I have a car, I have a house, I want money. He's opening up other doorways with that, but he encourages you to, throughout the day, if you come up with something new, add it in there. And me, I take it a step further.
You take about 5 steps further.
Yeah. I walk around with the book and I'm thinking of stuff new. Yeah, life is great. I bought a helicopter. I got my helicopter license too. Because I have my pilot's license. I got my helicopter license too. I write that because I want my helicopter's license. So I'm writing it in the present tense. And the format. And so when I do that, I go to the world, the mental world, and I think the imagination world God, which I will say this. There was never an imagination world God to me. I didn't think of that. It was just God. And it was me and the imagination me and Walt and the imagination Walt and Lamborghini and the imagination Lamborghini. I never thought to myself, well, if I have a watcher over here that I can thank for this mic, this opportunity to be here with you, why can't I have a watcher over there that I can thank for the imaginary stuff? And that set the whole wall exercise that transitioned into what it is. That part of it just set everything off. I have not thought the same. The amount of negative thoughts that pop into my head about scenarios, anything that might have been triggered by body pain, because how body pain can bring life has just been a total 2023, man. 2023 has been insanely positive and informative. And I'm just happy, and the summit is coming to cap everything off.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. It is. And well, it's kind of also sort of a backward introduction to the topic we were talking about today. Because I asked you, what topic did you want to address? And you said law of attraction malpractices. First of all, you got to define where that came from. I mean, when you're thinking malpractices, what's a malpractice where law of attraction is concerned?
You know what? If you think that you can think about being rich 3 times today and win the lottery tomorrow. And the problem with that is, since you don't win the lottery tomorrow, you give up on it. This stuff doesn't work. Or it works for him, but not for me. And that is, to me, a malpractice, because you're going about it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And your results are going to be off from what you expected. So yeah, I just wanted to get into any line. I know you've heard a lot, and I've heard a lot where it's just like, no, I don't have hair, but if I had, I'd pull it. No, that's not.
Well, you saw what happened to my hair. I mean, it turned white.
You got the silver back. Yeah, so, that's just one of them. That's the most obvious one. And they talk about it in The Secret, because if you thought about an elephant right now in your living room and one popped up, you'd be upset.
Yeah, especially with the crap on the floor. Yeah, that would be really bad.
Yeah, just like the movie. It was dropping.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of that, I'm curious what your take is on that time gap. Why it's there, what it's there for. I mean, obviously, because you wouldn't, the world would be crazy if you just got what you thought about right now, but there's got to be more than that.
I kind of start with what time is, because we think about the concept of time when we realize, partly through the teachings of, the various teachers you and I and others listen to, that time is an illusion. Mm-hmm. It's a man-made illusion, and man made it in order to have a way to communicate to each other, let's meet over at the beach at this time. Yeah. Well, we have a time in order to meet at that time. So we created this structure so that we could coordinate to do things. And
that was necessary.
It is.
And when you want to look at it like, man, screwed it up. It's necessary.
Good luck on catching a flight if you don't know what time it's taking off. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is. And even when you go back to the, like caveman days, it's like, yeah, I want to eat. When? You gotta have it, you gotta have
That's it. So it's a necessary thing. But by the same token, since we know from the teachings of Einstein, from the teachings of the various quantum physicists and so on and so forth, we know that time truly is an illusion. It actually is bendable, stretchable. It actually can get to the point where it's almost meaningless. So if I start from that understanding and then ask myself, well, why does it take so long? I can just as easily flip it around and say, well, why does it take so short? Because it's the perception. The perception that is what makes all of that happen. Perception is why we can stretch time. Perception is why time can almost get out of shape. If that's the case, then we can really change any perception of time that we want to. Doesn't mean that we're all good at that yet. I mean, actually, most of us are terrible at it.
Yeah.
But the potential is there. The ability is there if we're willing to learn how to do it. So now if I reframe the question and ask, why does it take so long? I can reframe it as, why do I decide that it's going to take so long?
Why do I feel like it's taking long? And that's, impatience. And that the internet has a lot to do with that. I mean, impatience was around before the internet, but YouTube putting information at our fingertips has ruined our generation. It's made life better for a lot of people because
I'm not going to talk bad about the internet. I've learned so much. I've gotten so much from it. I mean, it's like any other tool.
Yep. It's like a gun.
It can be used poorly or it can be used well.
Exactly.
It's up to you which way you're going to use it.
I was just talking to Parth. He's one of the speakers, and he was like, a knife can be used to cut somebody or by a surgeon to fix somebody.
Yeah.
So it is, and everything has two sides. Everything has duality.
Plus, the moment that we're blaming the knife is the moment we're really off track because it isn't the knife's fault. The knife had nothing to do with it. I was innocent, says the knife.
And now, welcome NRA president. That's
well, it's sort of a parallel there. But the fact is that whether it be knives or YouTubes or TV screens or video games, we can try to blame them. We want, all we want, but really we're just distracting and misdirecting ourselves. We're malpracticing, to use your word.
boom.
We're
And
malpracticing because we're saying it's the thing's fault. No, it's not the thing's fault.
It's a huge part of the law of attraction is owning your shit.
Yes.
Like
Bada bing,
when I say a huge part, I'm talking about a percentage.
We're talking the elephant in the room.
Yeah. So, you know, I was speaking with someone the other day, and she says, every time I get done 4 tasks, another 10 tasks pile up. I hate this. Da 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 da. And I'm like, well, you know, you got to stop manifesting 10 tasks. She said, I didn't manifest 10 tasks. That's not what I want. That's not. And I'm like, oh, I'm pulling out my hair. Oh my God. I said, dude, you don't have to want it. I said, you expect it to happen. I don't expect it to happen. Well, your words to me just now were, every time I get tasks done, another 10 pop up, which means there's a history, which means it's embedded in your mind that this is what's going to happen. You do expect it to happen.
Yeah.
Not only do you expect it to happen, but you're talking about it a lot. You're spreading, you're watering that seed. You're telling everyone around you they're watering that seed. That's the thing about Facebook. You go in there and tell Facebook you're having problems. Now you got collective energy working against you. Now you got a whole crap load of people all thinking, oh man, she's doing terrible. I feel sorry for her. Manifesting a future where they're saying, oh man, she's doing terrible. I feel sorry for her again. So you got it working against you now at all kind of different angles.
And let's not pretend that that's an easy thing to change away from.
No, it's not.
It really isn't. I mean, heck, I've been dealing with it myself this week. I've got a number of things going on that are really quite extraordinary. They're not, you know, your typical everyday things, and they feel so real to me. And the reactions that I have, you know, especially that kind you're talking about, that, oh, I feel so sorry for, it just kind of wells up on you before you even notice it. So what we're talking about here are 2 factors that are challenging to learn, but we really need to learn them. Number 1, noticing when we're doing it and saying, yeah, I'm doing it. It's not just happening to me. I'm playing a role in this. I am the common denominator.
Waking up,
one that's involved.
I always say waking up is the hardest part.
It is.
Waking up is the hardest part. And I need everybody to understand that's listening that neither one of me or Walt are perfect at this. And I don't think anyone on the planet is. Like, you know, you could be Bill Gates, billionaire, one of the most powerful people on the planet, but you going through it with your daughter because she doesn't like you. You know, so there's something in or your health. You know, you know, he's getting old. I know he got back problems. Everybody got back problems at that age. So no one is right on cue and I don't think you could possibly just overcome every aspect of life and never feel this feeling again, but you can work at it.
Right. And the idea is you don't worry about the fact that you keep messing up. You celebrate when you get it right, when you're able to, on that one moment, make the shift.
I was in the kitchen earlier and I was talking about t-shirt sales, and my t-shirt sales have been down tremendously. I haven't been watering that seed. And my ego stepped in and did what it did. You know, it shunned me, you know, it told me I wasn't shit.
It's good at that.
And I was at the sink and I stopped and I put my hands on the sink and I said, you know what? Thank you. I said it out loud. I said, you know what? Thank you. Because you just pushed me to work harder. And it just came out of me like an ancestor was speaking through me and I needed to hear it that loud. Like it might have whispered to me before, gave me little hints and radios and songs and talking to you and other guests, but it needed to hit me so loud that I needed to say it from my own mouth because I didn't even realize what I was saying. It was one of those moments. And right there, I had both my hands on the sink and I was just like, this is what we were talking about appreciating the negative things that happen in life. And we touched on appreciating your ego in a different show before that, but this was different. I have a lot of fuel and fuego to go against the grain when someone says I can't. Oh, you don't tell me that. You don't tell me I won't graduate. You don't tell me I won't become a cop. Don't tell me I won't become a pilot. I'm going to do it. Don't tell me I won't be on stage. I'll do it just because you said I can't. Even if I don't want to do it, I'll do it just because you said I can't. So that voice is driving me.
Yeah.
I never really put that together like that. And so now, since then, when the voice creeps up and says something like stats, how many people are going to come watch the summit on Saturday? and bringing up previous stats from my first summit and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, I check it. I recognized it as opposed to, cause it's all about that moment. When the ego starts talking its shit, you either let it talk for a half an hour or you catch it somewhere in between there and say, no. And you wake up and do whatever mental exercise you do. It talking trash. I caught it immediately. Like a person behind me in the movie theater was talking trash.
Mm-hmm.
I caught it immediately. Like, all right, I see you talking trash. I got you. I got something for that. I'm going to push harder for the rest of the day. I was going to take the rest of the day off, not no more. And so you got to find a way to use it. It ain't going nowhere.
I think there's also a second piece too, because depending on what kinds of events we're talking about, most daily events are going to be a little bit easier. They're more familiar because you've been experiencing them over and over again and so on and so forth. There are also those exceptional events that, they show up once every 20 years or something. I've been experiencing one of those. I wish I could tell you what it was. I probably will never be able to tell you or the audience about it because it basically is not in my life. It's kind of touching my life, but it's somebody else's life and it's their private stuff. And I won't ever be able to bring it into the public space. Yeah. But this person is dealing with something that is really painful for me to watch because I care about this person so much. It's really, it just eats at me. And what I've been doing each time that I have felt that eating sensation is saying to myself, well, you know what you got to do. You got to find a way to see that this is part of their journey toward their better light. And when it's something as severe as this one is, that's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I can push myself all I want. It's still painful. It's still hard. It brings tears to my eyes when I think about what's going on with this person.
You made me think of another law of attraction malpractice.
Okay.
Which is pushing it onto other people.
Yeah.
And my example would be my father, grew up hard-nosed cop, head of narcotics department in the most dangerous city in America. Mm-hmm. Grew up was born and went to high school in the most dangerous city in America. So his mentality behind things is, dog eat dog. Everyone's mm-hmm. trying to screw you, try not to get mm-hmm. screwed over. Like when you walk around life trying not to get screwed over, you tend to get screwed over. Mm. And I couldn't.
By the way, great law of attraction statement. I just got to say.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down.
Right.
No, but you don't want to force the law of attraction on anybody. That is a malpractice. But guess what? I love him. I want him to see him succeed. I want to see him have faith in the law of attraction so he can use it to heal himself as he gets older.
Yeah.
As you get older, things start to fail. And so I found myself pushing it onto him anyway. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you don't push it on to somebody. I'm going to push all the information I can, and then I'm going to lead by example. So he sees me winning in the game, he's going to start believing it more. And so there is a point where you can push, but you're not supposed to.
Yeah. I think that's also where the advantage of what you were talking about before, a moment ago, when you talked about, the imaginary Porsche, the imaginary Bentley, the imaginary father, the imaginary watcher, all that imaginary realm that you're in. I'm trying to remind myself each time that I'm dealing with this situation that I can't tell you about, that that's where I need to get to. I need to take this real world event and put it into the imaginary world so I can play with it and turn it into what I need it to be. And I haven't gotten there yet with it. But what I have done, to address what you mentioned earlier, is I've at least noticed it. I'm now to the point where I'm pushing a little bit harder, a little bit better, a little more focused, and I can tell it's probably just a matter of days before I finally have the breakthrough and I'm able to put it into the imaginary realm where I can actually do something with it.
It was either Jose Silva or the book Untethered Soul. I forget, but either way, may he be well. May she be well.
Yeah.
When you're in that headspace of, man, it sucks that they're going through this. I love them so much and I don't want them to be going through this. And you want to steer your mind to a better headspace because remember, now you're watering the seed of, I feel sorry for them, manifesting a future where you feel sorry for them. So you're contributing to this. Once you hit them with the may he be well, may she be well, just say it over and over again. It's a powerful, powerful statement. It's very generic.
Yeah.
So it can encompass a whole bunch of things and it just does something. You're no longer feeling sorry for them.
Well, it's a
now,
neutralizing statement.
yeah,
That's really what it does. It
yeah.
neutralizes that negative vibe.
And
I
it's not,
don't use necessarily that exact phrase, but that's part of how I'm trying to get from A to B with
and
this particular situation. I'm trying to get myself to, in the long run, this is actually going to help this person. And my mind says, no, it's not. And I say, yeah, it really is.
yes, it is. Damn it. That's when you slam both hands down. Thank you. Now I'm gonna work harder. Now I'm gonna push a little bit of law of attraction into that ear every day. Send them a little quote or something. But it did something. I had a family member of mine that just the dark cloud follow him everywhere he goes, and he expects it, and he talks about it, and he's super duper churchy. I mean, Jesus this, Jesus that, Jesus will save me. Jesus is going to pay my rent. Sure. Jesus is going to get me out of this situation. And ain't none of that worked.
Right.
We 41 years old, 42 years old right now, and you still waiting. Meanwhile, I'm right here taking a different technique, winning in the game. And that really hurts me, because I love this character. I want to see him do well. And I'm right here. Out of all the people in the world, you could read some Joe Dispenza. You can go watch this show, whatever. You can call me at 2 a.m. if you want, and I'll answer. Yeah. And so it really hurts me to see. And so I ended up doing that. May he be well. May he be well. May he be well. Anytime I thought about him in a negative light, may he be well. May he be well. And as I'm saying it, my brain starts to run scenarios. He's coming around. He's going to start using some law of attraction practices, maybe slowly but surely, but he'll get it. This will end up good. He'll learn his lessons and he'll come around. And that might not be 100% positive, but it's 1,000 times better than what I was thinking before.
Sure.
Which was no hope. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's been like this forever. How's this affecting his kids? How's this affecting his family? His parents stressing about him, his cousins. Try that.
Yeah. And by the way, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. I think we should probably dispel that. That to me is a malpractice.
Malpractice.
That it has to be 100% perfect. It needs to be better.
Yes.
As long as you're better, you've improved. It doesn't matter if you're only infinitesimally better. You're better. Now, if you want to aim for more than infinitesimal, go for it. But you don't have to aim for perfect. That's too far. It's probably way out of reach anyway.
You know what? Because striving for perfection has been implemented so much into our society, I needed to, especially my upbringing, not so much my father, because my father was the exact opposite of that. But it was everyone around me. Captain of the football team, lead instructor in karate, head of this, that, team sniper, whatever it is, I was the lead. But it took me, and it was instant. Once I really wrapped my head around everything right now in this moment is perfect. Mm-hmm. You know how I know? Because that's how it is. It's how it was meant to be right now. And it is a fool's errand and waste of time and watering bad seeds for me to be thinking anything other than that. Once I was able to wrap my head around that, it was like a light switch switched off. The need to be perfect switched off. Mm-hmm. And now was a need to be better. Yes. And another malpractices, I try to work the law of attraction. Now I try to speak with people who already know about the law of attraction or people who are already doing well off. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are resistant to the law of attraction because they're already doing great. And you could be doing better. No matter what your situation is, you could be doing better. Mm-hmm. And as humans, we naturally strive to do better anyway. So let's let our natural striveness, if that's a word,
it is now.
And let's do it. It is now. I said it. And let's do it. Let's just get better. I come on this show to get better. I wake up every day and I do mental exercises to get better. I improve on things because I'm obsessed with getting better. And I know the best part about that is I know I can. I know I can. If I was striving to be a lieutenant in the police department, but it was impossible. It was kind of impossible because all the lieutenants were young. They weren't retiring soon. We all graduated the academy together, so they're going to be in that position for a while. If it was an impossible task, then it's one thing. It plays a different game with your mind. But this isn't that. This is something we've done easily in our lives millions of times. Let's do it again. Let's keep doing it.
I think the person who said the quote was Emile Coué. I'm not 100% certain. He's a physicist. I think he was the one who said it. He said, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and
better, better, and better. That's Jose Silva.
Was that Silva?
Jose Silva mind control method. Yeah. Every day.
And now I gotta look it up.
Yeah, it's one of my books that I read at the end of 2022. Jose Silva mind control method. Every day and in every way, I'm getting better, better, and better. And something about saying it 3 times. People will say that and take off the other 2 and use that as an affirmation. No. It's a great affirmation, but there's something that happens when you say it the second time, and then it gets multiplied in a different area when you say it a third time. It's like you're attacking deeper in your soul. You say it once, it's on the surface from your mouth. You say it again, it's affecting your mind. When you say it again after that, you're affecting your subconscious that we can't access. You're affecting your soul, your essence. You're changing your DNA with that third one. Try it. Everybody at home, try it. Say it right now. Say it in your mind. Say it out loud. It was one of my best lessons from 2022 and absolutely helped me get better in so many different areas.
I'm sure Jose Silva said it. I'm pretty sure he got it from Coué. And the reason I know it is Coué originally said it and he died in 1926. So I think it's probably safe to say he said it first.
Well said. That was a generation or 2 before Jose Silva. But
and I had it wrong. He was not I was wrong. Not right. He was not a physicist. He was a psychologist.
There you go.
He was a psychologist. Get this. He was a psychologist and a pharmacist. Interesting combination.
Well, it's basically a psychiatrist, ain't he?
You would think. Yeah, kind of.
But I love it when psychologists and psychiatrists are into the law of attraction. I know a few myself. I think Dr. Linda Marcinico, she spoke at one of the summons in April or something like that. She's in that group, and a bunch of people that I had interviewed in my first TV show, Off the Bench, back in Jersey, to be able to get a doctor in medical medicine to talk about this woo-woo.
We've had a few doctors on this year. We've had, I'm going to guess, somewhere around 9 or 10 doctors of various specialties coming on the show this year alone. Or actually, by this year, I mean 2022. We haven't had one yet in 2023. But yeah, there were about 10 of them. And I think at least 1 or 2 of them indicated strong sympathy for the concept of law of attraction. I think probably their scientific training wouldn't let them go whole hog on it, but you kind of tell they wanted to.
Yeah, I like a psychologist, because I had a million dentists speak on my summits because I'm in the dental world.
Yeah,
but specifically psychologists and psychiatrists who speak and believe in the law of attraction more.
Yeah.
Because if you believe in it more, you're taking it into your work with you.
Yes.
I don't care if you're a car salesman. If you believe in the law of attraction, you're taking that into your work with you and telling people about it to boost the whole company. But I just love it when it's coming from a psychologist or, sociologist, someone like that.
Well, I mean, my friend Joel Elston, who was one of my first co-hosts, is a former psychotherapist, currently a life coach. And not only did he build it into his practice, he built his practice of treating originally gambling addicts, because he was originally a gambling addict, but then also other kinds of addicts. And he premised it on law of attraction. And to this day, everybody who comes into his office for the first time, he gives them a copy of The Secret. He literally gives away thousands of copies of The Secret every year. He buys them in bulk.
That was me. I used to have a stack of DVDs and I used to hand them out like candy on Halloween.
Right?
Just get people involved. That was when DVDs were the bomb. All the youngsters, it's a CD basically that you put in the machine and it plays movies.
This was before Apple Music.
I remember a large portion of my life, streaming wasn't even a word.
Right.
It just wasn't, and now we're streaming right now.
About that, yeah. I was thinking about that. We were talking earlier about the podcasting aspect and how I've been doing it 5 days a week and so forth. And I was remembering to what it was like when I started. I mean, none of this technology was available. There was no Zoom. There was no StreamYard. No streaming didn't even exist. I mean, if you were lucky, you could figure out a way to record onto your computer and then upload it somewhere. That was podcasting. That was the entire thing.
Let's get into the mind of Walt Thiessen. Do you remember what was the first thing, your first rebuttal? When you wanted to do this, show and your ego said, they don't even have the technology for that yet. How you going to pull that off?
Boy, you're really stretching my memory here. How did I respond to that? Because I certainly had lots of reason to think it was going to fail. But what kept me going? You know what kept me going? The need to get what I wanted to get out of it. Because remember why I started the podcast in the first place? I started it because I was in a bad place and I needed help.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the voice of "You'll Never Get There" didn't get anywhere with me, because I had such a strong need to solve my own life problem.
That's one of those you were at your last straw.
Yeah.
There wasn't nothing gonna stop you. You're just gonna get it. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't even a question of how am I going to battle the demons. The demons weren't even part of the conversation. They just weren't even there. The need was so strong that the demon voice didn't have a chance.
That's what's up. I love that. I had just learned about the law of attraction, and I was just like, I need to know more, and I wasn't getting it. I didn't know Joe Dispenza even existed. I didn't know Think and Grow Rich even existed. The only person I was leaning on was Tony Robbins, and I love Tony Robbins to death, but it ain't enough for me. He talks a good game. He does. And he helps a lot of people. He does. But put me on his stage after he's done talking, and I think you're going to have a crowd that walks away, not like, oh my God, I'm so happy to take on the world, but like, I can't wait to get started. Mm-hmm. Like this life, like it's mine. I have a grasp on. That's why I think I'm better than him, honestly.
That's really a testament to how much growth you've done, by the way. That can sound egotistical, but it's really not. That just shows just how much growth you've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. And the amount of and the amount of work I put into it. I know a couple of people who know Tony Robbins personally, and I think, in my opinion, he spends a lot of his time on his next show. Like, where you going to be, where you going to go, got to get dressed, what am I wearing? A lot of business aspects. He's got his hands in 15 different businesses. Right. Now, if you're working 80 hours a week on all your different businesses, how much time are you putting into coming up with new ideas and new strategies? Like, you see me, I come up with the Watcher, I come up with the Wall. A week later, I'm coming up with something else, and I'm developing new stuff as opposed to giving the same stuff over and over again. So
by the way, you can hear it in his voice, by the way. I mean, if you've heard his voice in the last few years, he has this really harsh sounding voice because he's blown his vocal cords out by doing talk. That means he's not doing as much internal work. And I'm not criticizing him for it. I'm just simply saying that's where he's chosen to give his time and attention.
Just stating the facts, and he wasn't enough. I needed to learn from other people like me who weren't millionaires, who weren't super, successful. Cause it's easy to say I'm happy with life if you got $2 million in the bank and your family's set for life. That's easy. I needed to hear from other people. And so I started to seek them out online. And then that's when I started interviewing people, because I was just trying to pull information out of them. And it's funny because my first couple of interviews were business coaches. Matter of fact, all of my interviews with my show, RVN TV, were either business coach or like I had two NFL coaches on there, but none of them were law of attraction coaches.
Interesting.
Business coaches and life coaches. But every question I asked, how I led to the question, how I opened the show, and how I closed it was 100% law of attraction. And
it makes sense, though, because you already mentioned and described how Tony Robbins was your formative influence. He was the first major influence. And he's all about how people can basically get where they want by building their business, by doing something business oriented. Of course, you're going to bring in business coaches with a starting point like that. Why wouldn't you?
Well, you know what? It wasn't even that. There wasn't no law of attraction coaches. Not in Jersey, not that I could find on Google.
How far back is this?
This was 2010.
Yeah, and there were very few at that point.
This was a physical studio. So I had to find one that was going to come into the studio. So there's no getting one. Like I had one dude flew all the way from Oklahoma. He was a business coach. He flew all the way from Oklahoma to be on the show. I was so happy. Shout out to him. Man, I forget his name. It was 12 years ago. But cool dude. I'm going to find this picture and post it.
Yeah.
So finding that wasn't happening. So what I needed to do was I said, okay, I'm going to do this show. Opened up the show, got a whole bunch of people that wanted to be on. Monica Guzman, I'll never forget her. She was my first guest, and she's a business coach. And she saw that I was putting law of attraction in every sentence, and she loved it. She loved it because she was like, "Ooh, in the business world, no one's talking about this. This is my chance to step out of business a little bit and share how the law of attraction is influencing business."
Nice.
And so we gelled really well, and that just everyone took it from there. Everyone who came on after that was like, "We're going to talk about how the law of attraction is in this. We're going to talk about how the law of attraction is in that." And secretly, I'm here with a notepad taking notes for myself. I did all that. It was just so I could improve my situation for my kids, for the world around me and them. And so, yeah, it became that thirst. Cause I mean, after watching the movie The Secret, if it hits you, it hits you. You're changed for good. You're changed. That movie is just insane.
It makes me think we need to modify the title of this episode because we're calling it Law of Attraction Malpractices. But we're talking so much about the positive side. I'm thinking we should modify it to Law of Attraction Malpractices and Superpractices, because what you just described was a super practice.
There we go. I like that because all my practices are super practices because they're compound practices. I try to put as many into one as I can. So what other malpractices? I mean, I know we're late in the show. I think we can find any more.
Yeah, we got about 8 minutes left. We'll figure a few out. Yeah, I think there are a lot of them. I think probably the biggest one, I'm not sure this is really a malpractice. I think it's just something that you have to kind of remember. We tend to forget. So in that sense, it's a malpractice. But like you were alluding to earlier, it's important to own all of our stuff, not just the victories. And we have a tendency to not want to own the stuff that's painful or frustrating or depressing. And that's kind of a malpractice, because what we're really saying is I won't learn from that stuff. I only want to learn from the stuff that feels good.
Thinking you know it all is a malpractice, and that's a whole nother episode. But when you say that, you make me think of death in the family. When I bring up the law of attraction to someone who has never heard it before or they're getting it for the first time, they say two things. I didn't manifest my grandma dying, and I didn't manifest that car accident a year ago. And I wasn't even thinking about a car accident. And I'm just like, dude, you don't have to think about a car accident. You just was thinking about something that had you all depressed and in that funk. And the universe gave you a reason to feel depressed and in that funk again. And when it comes to relatives dying, that's a natural part of life. That's more of accepting, that person has been watering seeds their whole life. And everyone who's ever thought about them has watered seeds about them. Your great-great-grandparents years and years and years ago made a joke about their great-great-grandkids being whatever, and that has affected you. Collective energy. And everyone expects people to die at an older age. So you got all these different things adding up to something that has to happen for now until we find a way to manifest our way out of that. If that's going to be, we don't know. But you can't get hung up on it.
You're not good to yourself. Well, actually, that ties in. I don't know if you saw it. There's a Facebook user who left us a question spread out over the last couple of comments. They said, how can you manifest through procrastination, owning all of it? Now, here's a great place to talk about malpractices.
How can you manifest through procrastination?
Procrastination, owning all of it.
I don't get it. Reword that for me, Walt.
Well, I think I'll let Facebook user reword it themselves. The way I'm taking this is, if I'm a procrastinator, how can I manifest what I want while still owning all of it?
See it as already being done. If you have to take step 1, 2, and 3 in order to get your goal, just focus on your goal and it being done. And somehow step 1, 2, and 3 will work itself out. Someone will call you. Hey, I got to answer those 3 questions you asked, and you didn't even ask them to answer them. But if you're procrastinating with seeing it as though it's already happened, as opposed to the actions to get it there, then you're just screwed. You got to see it. You got to see it. And we all do. I do that every day. I got 54 alarms. I don't think it's 54 now, but I got over 50 alarms and alerts that go off on my phone that I procrastinate on doing half of them. That's why I got 50, because I know I'm going to skip half of them.
You picked up in your message, see it as already being done.
That's it. But that's choice.
Yeah. I think it's also, there is the malpractice side to it too. The malpractice side to it, I think, is believing that procrastination has to be your method for manifestation. It doesn't. You don't have to continuously say, I'm a procrastinator, and then keep wanting to try to build your manifesting skills. You can build your manifesting skills and leave the procrastination piece behind. You can say, I'm done with procrastination. I'm now a go-getter. I'm a proactive person if you want to find an alternative.
Procrastination at the end of the day is a choice.
It is.
I procrastinate with the best of them because I'm retired. So I don't have to do a lot of stuff. So when it comes to doing stuff, some phone calls, some emails, I'm like, man, I'll do that later. And I'll go outside and stare at the trees for 10 minutes and breathe and just end up getting really, really thankful and being really, really happy. And I'll come back in and that email will still be sitting there and I'll be like, I'm hungry. So it happens to the best of us. It's a choice to let it continue. And that all comes down to how bad do you want it?
I think another question to ask yourself. I love what you just said in your scenario, and I want to kind of double off of it. Because in that scenario, you could see that as procrastinating opening the email, or you could see it as right now, I need to get my vibration by going outside. Now, is that truly procrastinating? I would say, no, it's not, as long as the vibration is about, I need what's going on outside. If the vibration is avoiding the email, now you're in procrastination mode.
Avoiding, yes, 100%. That makes so much sense. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, because, and you can flip it because I have avoided things like emails,
sure,
and went outside, but that could have been my ancestors, the universe telling me go regroup first, and then I go outside and I look up at the trees and I start seeing how beautiful nature is, and I was meant to do that. Then come back in and answer that email, or then come back in and procrastinate again and get something to eat because I needed a good meal to nourish my mind before answering that email. So,
and if you're dealing with that way, if you're going out to get the energy, you're getting the energy from the food, whatever, that again, I don't see that as procrastination. I see that as preparation.
You just changed up because I saw it as procrastination, but in actuality, it was preparation.
It really
I was prepping for the moment. I was never meant to open that email at 3 p.m. I was meant to open it at 8:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw it as procrastination. So that's choosing to see it in a certain way. And I know that message could be taken in many different ways where people are like, okay, so I'm good with procrastinating because it wasn't supposed to happen at that time. Listen, you get out of what you put in. Whatever it is you're procrastinating about, if you didn't and you got stuff done, the results will come out better that way. So I'm just going to say, just get it done. Get it done. But if your body's telling you to go outside before you answer that email, do it. Quick side note. Someone told me scenario that they gave was you're in a bar. You're in a bar with your friends. You see a girl over there with her friends, which makes it a little bit unapproachable, and you want to go talk to her. All right, I'm going. Right before you go, tell your friend, tell me 3 things awesome about me. And I know the average person will be like, what? If you got a good friend, he'll do it. She'll do it. Whatever. Tell me 3 things that are awesome about me. Now you're going over there in a totally different mindset as before. All right, what am I going to say? It's hard to approach a table full of girls. I got to make them all laugh real quick or they're going to, whatever the situation. So yeah, I've been doing that into meetings and it's just me, my son's here, but it's just me, and I need to think of 3 awesome things about myself before I go into this meeting. I could go back to the whole, I was on the SWAT team in the most dangerous city in America, but if that doesn't have anything to do with the meeting, it kind of didn't work for me. So I picked 3 things that had to do with that subject, that topic, whether it was a speaking gig or whether it was some other kind of meeting. And I picked 3 things that I was real good at about it. And I was like, I'm good at that. I killed it there a couple of years ago when I killed that.
Yeah.
You go into the meeting different. So,
that's right.
Use that when going to meetings.
I think what we're really saying is anytime that you're dealing with a situation that is uncomfortable, change the vibration.
Boom.
Do whatever it takes to change the vibration. If you have to walk away, then you have to walk away. If you have to come back later, you have to come back later. But change the vibration. Don't walk away because you feel miserable. Walk away because you want to change the vibration. And then do it. Do whatever it takes to change that vibration.
I noticed you said the word uncomfortable. And I know people will say, well, why would I want to put myself in an uncomfortable situation in the first place? You have to get out of your comfort zone to grow. Yeah. Whatever your next big goal is, it's going to require some getting out of your comfort zone.
It's true.
So accept it, and use these techniques to get through.
The fun thing too is when you start doing that regularly, it's amazing how quickly the boundary blurs on, well, this is uncomfortable. After a while, you just kind of go there anyway because you're so used to going into the uncomfortable mode. Like, oh, here we go again. No big deal. Yeah, but you have to have broken that barrier a few times in order to get there.
I give everybody a quick example. I went to this one conference, didn't know anyone there, didn't know what I was doing there. Just went, and it was so uncomfortable. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like on the way there, literally, because I had to fly, on the way there in the Uber, I'm like, who am I going to talk to? What am I going to do? I'm just going to walk around. Like, what the hell are you doing, Neo? And I had to like stop the ego and stop myself. Oh, wait a minute. You go in and you make stuff happen. People see this and they come up to you. But what if they don't come up to me? Don't think like that. Don't think like that. Everywhere you go, people come up to you because of these 3 words. And then that's what I went inside. Couple minutes later, I'm walking, minding my business. Everybody's all high class, high society. I'm like, man, I'm wearing jeans and a black t-shirt. And this one lady, oh my God, I love your shirt. And then right there, I said, man, I got him again. And out of all the conferences and summits and places that I've been to, some of them I walk in there like that. But after that one first lady, I don't think I'll ever feel that again.
That's great.
And that was totally uncomfortable because I flew to a place I wouldn't normally fly to and went to a place I wouldn't normally go, an event. And it was just, so yeah.
Kudos to you, man. That's great.
It's been an adventure.
That's where you have to, that's where it's time to reach around and pat yourself on the back because you did something really uncomfortable. Yeah. That's really great. Good stuff. This has been a great conversation too. I'm glad you brought up the topic of law of attraction malpractices. I am going to add on the word superpractices at the end because I think we actually talked about that more, which is good. I love it.
Yeah. That's the best. Address the negative once. The next 10 minutes is the positive. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And tell us again about the summit because it's coming up in 2 days.
Neo Positivity Thoughts Become Things Summit this Saturday, January 21st from noon to 4 p.m. It's going to be a great time. I got a great lineup of speakers. I'll just pop it up real quick. If anyone wants to check it out, pause the screen and look at it. Don't worry about the little things I got open at the bottom. But, Walt's going to be in there. Hopefully I'm going to talk to Debbie tonight and see if I can get her to pop in there. But our lineup is sweet. James Dentley, he owns a TV network. Amy Joy has a crazy, amazing life story. We've got a doctor. We've got authors. We've got Lonnie is going to come in and give us Hawaii. That's what I'm so happy about her aspect. I've been trying to get the Hawaiian culture in here, and she's taught me so much. They are built on the law of attraction from birth. Like when you're born, you're in it. Even the word Hawaii is basically the law of attraction.
Is it really?
Yeah, because Ha is like breathing techniques and breath work. Wa is the water aspect, and then Yi is the whole divinity, the thinking, being on the right path mentally, seeing it before you do it, being positive, community, all that has just wrapped up in this divinity thing. She's going to come in and break all that down for us and explain all the different cultures and practices and thought processes that she's experienced in her time out there. So it's just going to be an amazing, amazing event. Oh my goodness. I'm stoked about it. It's funny. I'll say this. This is the last thing I say. A lot of conventions and a lot of other stuff. Lost you for a second. A lot of conventions and a lot of stuff I've been to, and the night before and the week before and the days before, they're like, I'm just a little bit nervous. I need more time. I need another week. And I'm like, why? Everything's taken care of. Everything, the ducks are lined up. There's no more tasks that need to be done. Why do you need another week? I just want to collect myself. Last Monday that just passed, the 16th, last Thursday, last Wednesday, I was ready to go. And that's how I'm with my summits. I want to do them today. Like if I could do the summit right now, do we hang up here? I would do it. And that's how I feel about all of them, especially this one. Like I can't wait for it to happen. So Let's go, you guys. Let's go. You guys got the link. I put it in there. And yeah, I'll see you all there. You can register for free at neosloasummit.com. And we got another guest popping in real quick. My son.
There he is. Hey, Amor, how you doing?
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
He woke up throwing up, y'all.
Oh.
And then I gave him some oatmeal and he threw up again. So I don't know what he's got. Matter of fact, get away from me. No. But he just woke up from his nap. He always has perfect timing. He always comes right at 5 o'clock. So yes. See you guys at the summit. I love you guys. Shout out to all military and first responders.
And thank you to all of our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.